There's something notable about politicians who not only siphon the productive capacity of their subjects, but also attack their liberties in many other ways. The term nemesis comes to mind. And if anyone had any doubt prior to 2020, now, with all of his COVID crackdowns and hypocrisy, New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio is emerging as one of America's biggest nemesis to freedom. Hi, folks. I'm Gardner Goldsmith for MRC-TV. Well, as the pop media prattle on about an invisible enemy, the threat of which is impossible to pin down because CDC infection numbers have been undercounted and the CARES Act appears to incentivize medical centers to overcount COVID-19 cases, it's good to recognize a real enemy to one's livelihood and liberty. And it's clear that New York City Mayor Big Billy Bill de Blasio is one of them.
Once there was an ugly barnacle. He was so ugly that everyone died. The end.
After sweeping down like a Valkyrie to break up a Jewish funeral in Williamsburg last week, Big Billy evidently wasn't done playing authoritarian. Because on May 1st, he proceeded to threaten people who might dare to take their own fates into their own hands and gasp, go out and get close to one another.
Few regrets today from Mayor Bill de Blasio after this controversial tweet singling out, quote, the Jewish community, end quote.
I spoke last night out of passion. I could not believe my eyes, Marcia. It was deeply, deeply distressing.
He made sure his police force was ready to hit the streets to stop that evil voluntary interaction. Said Police Chief of Department Terrence Monahan, "We are past the point of warnings. This is a dangerous situation." See, some little New York accent. Just how dangerous, not a single person in any office of any level of government can tell anyone because, as I stated earlier, it's impossible to know. But that's okay because de Blasio and New York Governor Andrew Cuomo have taken it upon themselves to decide for everyone else how dangerous the world is or could be.
Yeah, it's your life. Do whatever you want. But you're not responsible for my life. You have a responsibility to me. It's not just about you.
And they've taken it on themselves to decide which livelihoods are essential and which are non-essential.
Is there a fundamental right
you want to go to
work?
work? Go take a job as an essential worker. Do it tomorrow. Right? You're working.
I am.
You're an essential worker. So go take a job as an essential worker.
But the people aren't hiring because of the
No, there are
pandemic.
people hiring. You can get a job as an essential worker. So now you can go to work and you can be an essential worker and you're not going to kill anyone.
And they've ordered people to stay in unless they have a reason for escape that the politicians deem sufficient to warrant the scraps of freedom that they toss to people. Are folks to be licensed to walk outside? Shall politicians issue us doggy tags to go out for strolls? Are we in that state now? Evidently, in New York City, they're close because over the weekend, tax-funded New York City police officers swarmed like locusts over public parks and other open spaces to enforce the previously mentioned threat about social distancing. The New York Post reports this. As temperatures climbed into the 70s, more than 1,000 NYPD officers made their presence known across the 5 boroughs as they enforced state social distancing mandates requiring masks and at least 6 feet of space between people to contain the spread of the killer bug. No reports as to whether these men of the tax-funded Thin Blue Line carried measuring sticks. But they did have batons, and they had tasers, and they had guns. Guns Bill de Blasio doesn't want the human mutts that he's corralled to have in their own possession. There appears to be an impossible to balance imbalance there, something that didn't go unnoticed by the people Big Brother Billy's police harassed. It's Orwellian to be watched like this, one freaked out 36-year-old park goer told the Post as she tried to enjoy the sunshine at Staten Island's Clove Lakes Park. It's friggin' nuts, she huffed of the patrols of NYPD cars, park police officers, and bike cops whose helmets were equipped with video cameras. It's like something out of 1984, she continued, referencing George Orwell's dystopian classic. What is this? A military state now? Who would have imagined that New York would become Airstrip 1 from 1984? Such hypocrisy was on grand display as the tax-paid police hassled people in the parks that their own taxes paid to maintain, and as the great mayor stood his ground like a too noisy preacher, even after committing the same exact sins for which he would castigate others. Indeed, just 7 days prior to sending out his officers to surveil and separate innocent people, just 7 turns of the earth, Big Billy de Blasio and his courageous wife were on the streets, posing for a photo opportunity with 100 or more medical workers outside Kings County Hospital Center. And as they approached the tape-marked X on the tax-supplied sidewalk where they were supposed to stand for the best photo opportunity, and as tax-subsidized workers applauded them, by the way, no social distancing, they did wear masks, and as reporters shot video and took pictures, not one police officer broke them up. Not one cop warned them or told them how dangerous it was to be so close together. Not one. That's just something to keep in mind, because the state has its favorites, and the average people whose earnings are sucked away to feed the state are not among the favorites. Where's Snake Plissken when you need him?
Call me Snake.
Hey, thanks so much for watching, everybody. Don't forget, like and subscribe, hit the little bell if you're watching on YouTube. And keep in mind that if you want to get to the source of all this information, go to MRCTV.org. That is where you'll find the stories and the videos posted at any time. And please visit the store, MRC-Store, if you want to get some great Media Research Center swag. Don't forget, if you want to comment in YouTube, I'll be there. I'll see you there. I'll drop you a line as well. And thank you for being part of this great circle of friends. For MRC TV, I'm Gardner Goldsmith.